Hi everybody. Want to talk about looper and timing real quick. So this device right here that rotates, that is called the looper. And the looper has a notch in it, which is right here. This is the notch I'm pointing to with my threading wire. That's the notch that the thread goes in, and it comes up through the hole in the center of the looper, goes in this notch, and then comes across to get fed into the needle. So right now I have would be checking your timing. The handle of the machine is closest to me when I'm sitting at the table or in the 6 o'clock position, and I have rotated my needle so that my needle is in the highest position. It's not that easy to figure out which is the highest position, but I'm going to show you what it should look like at least. You have to kind of learn a little bit at a time. You can't get it all at once. So I just want to talk about the looper. Oh, sorry, I got some lint on my thing here. Talk about the looper. So you can see the notch in the looper, and when you rotate the handle, the looper and the needle rotate, not the nipple, but the needle inside the nipple. So the way this thing is supposed to be timed, it's a little different from a Cornelli. You want your looper at about, you want your notch at about 12:15 for a singer. And then when you load your needle into your needle bar, you want just the tip of your needle sticking out of the nipple. So that's what that is. And then when the machine sews, the nipple goes down and holds the fabric. The needle goes out and comes back up. So the sewing is the nipple, and the needle go down. The needle goes down and grabs the thread. The nipple holds the fabric and the needle goes back up, and your stitch is complete. Okay, back to the top. So the way this works, after you're trying to set your timing, you're playing with your worm gear, all kinds of stuff is loose and you don't know if you got it right, and you're trying to get your notch timed to the 12:15, 12:30 time, somewhere around in there. How do you figure out if it's right? So the way you know your machine is working is you watch the notch, and you watch what the notch does in relationship to your needle. So to make a stitch, the needle goes down and the thread would be in the notch, and the notch passes in front of your needle, the hook, and then as the needle starts to come back up, the thread has passed in front of it and the hook in the needle catches the thread and the needle comes back up. So this is all happening while your handle's at 6 o'clock. So let's watch that again. The needle goes down, the notch passes in front of the needle, and before the needle starts to come back up, the notch has passed to the 9 o'clock position. So basically the needle would have caught the thread and the needle is bringing the thread back up. Now, if I rotate my handle to the 12 o'clock position, the needle also rotates. So the looper and the needle rotate together, and they're always facing in the right direction so you can form a stitch. So if I'm rotating my handle now to 3 o'clock, I rotated the handle to 9 o'clock. The notch is now at 3, and the needle has also rotated. So you can see when the needle goes down, the notch goes across it, and as the needle right there, the needle's coming up, it will grab the thread on the way up. This machine looks like it might be a little slow, but basically you can see the side of the hook in the needle. So the thread would pass across the hook. As the needle's coming back up, it would catch the thread and form a stitch. So that's basically how it works. And so the notch is always pointing in the direction of the handle, and I'm sorry, it's kind of confusing. So now I'm resetting it so the needle's in the highest position. So the looper rotates with the handle. Now I've got the handle at 3 o'clock, so the notch is closer to the 9 o'clock. So you can see the handle's at 3. you can see the hook in the needle is now pointing to 3. So when it makes a stitch, the looper puts the notch across the needle, the thread would be caught in the hook and come back up. So basically that's how the machine works, that part of it anyway. So the needle bar and the looper rotate in unison. That's how it makes sure that your thread is always getting caught in the hook of the needle for every stitch, regardless of what direction you're stitching. Sorry for the long video. I'm not really good at videos, but hopefully that helps explain how the machine is supposed to work. So after you've done your best to time your machine, or if you have a Cornelli and you're trying to change from chain stitch to moss stitch, this is how you double check that you've got your timing right for the chain stitch. Moss stitch is kind of the opposite. I really haven't done the moss stitch very much, so I can't speak to that. I'm sort of self-taught, so I don't maybe know all the technical terms, but hopefully this helps someone.